The Kerch Bridge, why is it still out there? Why Ukraine just cannot cancel this very important connection for the Russian army? Well, let's be honest, it wasn't the perfect time for a Kerch Bridge before. It was kaboomed partially twice, but nevertheless it continued to play its main role for the Russian logistics. For example, this picture was taken yesterday not far away from the Kerch Bridge in Crimea. Already you may see self-propelled artillery systems which are made in North Korea. Those are called Koksan 240mm, quite powerful tool. So Russia fully uses the railroad connection to deliver their military goods to Crimea, and later on they send everything to Kherson Oblast and Zaporizhia. And as we know, Russia is attacking Ukrainian forces and propel forward in Zaporizhia. So in the first part of the video, I'm gonna answer the question, why the hell this connection is still out there? Why a bridge is used by Russia for supplies and not yet been kaputted by Ukraine. And of course, we're gonna speak about the perspectives of A to B gun. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go. I guess you already know what happened to the bridge back in 2022. There was a big truck on the road which kaboomed and caused the fire of the train, which somehow was staying there for several hours without any movement at the railroad line. Now I'd say it's very unusual because trains should cross the bridges without any stops. It looks like that kaboom was precisely organized and maybe not by Ukraine, because literally Ukraine cannot control the Russian train schedule. Well, it took Russians several of the months to repair the damages done by the train mostly. As for the road, well, it's easy to put a new slot there if the columns which maintain the bridge are okay. And in this case, plus the next one, the columns were intact. But Russia had to replace a railway section, which by the way are made in Voronezh factory. And that particular factory by the time went under Ukrainian attack, so long-range strikes. So because of it, Russia also postponed the production of the sections of the Kerch Bridge railroad connection. So Ukraine tried to extend this period, then Russians didn't use the bridge for their supplies. But actually Russians were fast in repairing at least one of the railroad line. As far as I remember, it took them 1 month to restore it. Then, as you remember, there was the other strike later on back in 2023. There was the Ukrainian drone boat which hit the bridge but didn't cause like severe damage, no. Just a part of the road construction collapsed and Russia restored it quite fast as well. But let's go back to the first kaboom. It was really a severe one. The truck was fully loaded, the train was burned there for a very long time, causing the construction to melt down. Yes, metal melted there. And everything of that led just to the partial damage of the Kerch Bridge. By the way, my friends, if you want to support the job that I do here on YouTube, you're very welcome to my Patreon page. I'll put the link for it in the video description just below. And thank you so much for supporting my motivation, especially when YouTube cancels monetization. But if you check out the bridge itself, guys, it's a very hard construction. Especially what is important are those columns. Honestly, I don't know what should you use to eliminate those reinforced concrete constructions. All of those mishaps which happened to the Kerch Bridge before didn't really influence those very robust constructions. And cancelling those would of course stop the Kerch Bridge operation for a very extended period of time. But to make it happen, Ukraine should use absolutely extraordinary methods. Especially right now, then Russia put some extra protection for their Kerch Bridge. Like you can see over here, they have two of the defense lines, mostly from the barges and those small floating devices. So for Ukrainian boat, it's very hard to get there without being spotted. Now Russia has just this entrance open for the Azov Sea, but they're controlling this way in very hard. So with the drone boat, yes, it could be possible, but Russia took extra measures. The other tool which Ukraine potentially might use is the ATACMS missile. But according to the latest reports, Ukraine is already out of the ATACMS missiles, and White House administration is not going to supply more to Ukrainian army. Plus, the ones Ukraine had before is the cluster version of ATACMS, which is absolutely useless to hit those very robust constructions. This is perfect against the military airfields, some of the vehicles and infantry. But bridges, bunkers, no. So ATACMS is not an option unless it is not equipped with a cluster warhead and has a standard one. But we understand that Ukraine now even potentially cannot obtain those missiles under the current White House administration. I actually don't know what it could be for Donald Trump to supply those missiles. He called it a mistake that Joe Biden supplied those missiles to Ukraine because, there is the risk of the Third World War. Remember how MAGA politicians and MAGA influencers were screaming all around about the Third World War, including Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan. Oh, we're doomed. It's all about Biden. It's Biden's fault. Wow. So guys, what we have left here is the Storm Shadow cruise missile. Definitely it may hit bunkers, it may hit bridges. Storm Shadow/Scalp was supplied to Ukraine by our friends in UK and France. But again, United States should have agreed on supplyment of those missiles because they are some of the United States made components. So United States actually have the influence on European weaponry as well. But nevertheless, Ukraine still has those missiles. However, the quantity is not enough to cancel the Kerch bridge connection. There should be many of those missiles to do some harm. Just recall how 3 of the Storm Shadow missiles hit the Russian headquarters of the Black Sea Marine Fleet in Sevastopol. Well, definitely the part of the building was kaboomed, but it wasn't enough to eliminate the building itself. So even this kind of the small and not that robust construction as command headquarters, kind of the old building, was not destroyed by 3 of the missiles. Yeah, there was the fire and part of the construction was significantly damaged, but Russians renewed this building. Storm Shadow were also used against the Russian submarines and ships. There they were more successful, but ships there in general not that sturdy. And you may see that, for example, this submarine, there is a very limited damage down to it. Plus, Russia has several layers of the air defense in Crimea, so it's very hard actually for missile to get even close to the Kerch bridge. Yes, if you send many of those, the Russian defense will be just overwhelmed, but still they may shut down many of the missiles. So Ukraine should launch simultaneously many of the Storm Shadows, like 50 at least, or maybe even 100 for them to reach specific point. And you know what? Ukraine doesn't have the number of the airplanes to launch all of those missiles simultaneously, even if Ukraine had enough Storm Shadows. In general, Ukraine has just started to receive F-16s and Mirage airplanes. Those potentially could launch those missiles, but it seems like the resource is still limited. Plus, if we point Storm Shadow exactly at the Kerch bridge, you may see its range 250 kilometers. And as you can see, with this limited range, Ukrainian jets should go to the Russian-controlled territory. But the Russian air defense acts even further than that, because they may put their air defense a little closer to the front lines. So yeah, Storm Shadow is not a variant. However, here we have a Taurus cruise missile which is not in operation yet, but the picture is totally different. The range of it is roughly 500 kilometers, could be even more. And if Germany agrees on supplyment of those missiles, potentially Ukraine may obtain the longest range missile in its army. Yes, it's even longer than ATACMS. But the rest of the problems are still there. How to deliver those missiles to the Kerch bridge, and what number Ukraine should have for the successful strike. Honestly, it's hard to tell, and the success of this possible mission may depend not only on planning, but also on luck. Well, maybe for Ukraine it's better to use the combination of the drones together with those cruise missiles to make the Russian defense very busy, but it's not yet guaranteed that this operation could be successful. Well, what 100% would disable the Kerch bridge are those gliding bombs they called JDAMs, which Ukraine receives from the United States of America. Still receives and uses, it's the part of the previous military agreed packages. But again, the gliding distance is roughly 70 kilometers, so this tool is absolutely no-go because of the Russian air defense. But again, the gliding distance is roughly 70 kilometers, which makes it absolutely impossible to deliver those tools to the Kerch bridge because of the Russian defense, so our airplanes should fly over the Russian-controlled territory. I wonder if we have a JDAM here. No, it seems like not. But you understand that it is no-go scenario. So I would say that Ukraine is out of the tools to harm the Kerch connection very hard. Well, maybe some occasional cases like it happened the last time with the drone boat, but it is just a temporary solution. Well, maybe Ukraine should have collected the massive amount of the drone boats back in 2023 and sent all of those to the Kerch Bridge, but it happened as it happened, so we cannot return back to 2023. Russians understood the threat and now they reinforced the protection of the Kerch Bridge already, so it's very hard to conduct this mission. And I guess one more thing that stopped and stops Ukrainian army from conducting those operations is the White House administration, previous one and the new one. You might remember Mr. Please Do Not Escalate Jake Sullivan, and the current White House team, well, it's understandable. With all of those peace deals, it is understandable that Ukraine is not even looking for the option to harm that very important connection for the Russian army. Or maybe it's looking, maybe we don't know lots of the stuff happening. But I personally right now do not see the perspective for Ukraine to cut that important connection. And yeah, I got many of the questions why the Kerch Bridge is still there, why Ukraine is not doing anything. Well, here in this first part of the video I tried to explain you why is it like that. Two main reasons: out of the tools and allies afraid to escalate. That's it. And yeah, about ceasefire, this is Dnipro city right now in the minutes I am filming this video. There were some of the strikes on Dnipro as well as on Kharkiv. All of the strikes happened in civilian residential areas. And what a miracle, Trump says that Russia may be dragging feet on achieving peace in Ukraine. Wow. Wasn't it freaking understandable before? Well, for Donald Trump personally, I guess not. But at the same time, Trump says that I think that Russia wants to see the end of it. But it could be they're dragging their feet. I've done it over the years, he says about his negotiation experience. He compares his tactics with Putin's. Yeah, sorry for the advertisements. What is that? Mattresses? Okay. So Donald Trump thinks that Russia would like to see the end as well as Zelensky would like to see the end at this point. Well, everyone wants to see the end, but the end is not happening. Why? Who is dragging their freaking feet? Not Ukraine, 100%. And you know, Russian demand on Trump was to lift the sanctions not just by United States of America, but also by European countries. Well, Europe already said that they're against that they will keep the sanctions until Russia gives all of the occupied lands. But Donald Trump doesn't care about this stuff. He doesn't care if Russia occupies Ukraine or not, because he himself thinks as an occupier towards his neighbors. Lavrov, Peskov, and other Russian officials continue to play the same song about Ukraine, how bad it really is, and Ukraine is violating the ceasefire which was agreed between Russia and the United States. Ukraine does everything to violate coordinated peace efforts. And they say that Russia doesn't hit the energy sector of Ukraine, which is absolutely fake. Russian propaganda themselves say that it's fake, and they continue to strike all of the facilities. This is the usual Russian propaganda TV show. Let's listen.
In general, energy facilities, let's speak frankly, they are proceeding as they have been. It's just that in this case, we do not turn off entire areas, but isolate the area of hostilities. This can be seen, for example, in the Dnipropetrovsk region. I'm starting to ramble a bit. Well, I've spoken a lot today, where we simply cut off railroads to allow our units to operate calmly on the revived section of the front.
So you see, they still hit the energy facilities, not just here, but elsewhere, and all of the infrastructure basically. Russians aim their Shahed drones and missiles. Alright, today there was the big meeting between Zelensky and Macron in France, Paris. What is interesting that France is boosting the military support for Ukraine by 2 billion euros. That's quite a lot. And Ukraine will obtain a significant amount of equipment. We're speaking about more missiles for Mirage 2000 fighter jets, more manpads, anti-tank missiles, armored personnel carriers, so vehicles, IMX-10 RC, well, tanks I would call them, kamikaze drones, and so on. Moreover, France is looking to deliver to Ukraine more of the Mirage fighter jets. So we have absolutely great news from France. But some of the media sources like Reuters say that Europe shifts from idea to send the troops to Ukraine. Well, the signs of it were seen even before. Then Starmer started to say about United Nations peacekeeping mission in Ukraine. which is absolute nonsense. And Ukrainian officials already stated that they will not agree on that kind of mission. But Russians say that they do not agree on the European peacekeepers, and China say that they will not send their peacekeepers to Ukraine. So peacekeeping mission is standstill, I would say, in its entire idea. Our European allies, I would say, are still disoriented in what decision they should take. They're not sure what to do. I think like that personally because of their chaotic statements, which in many of the cases contradict each other. Guys, for today there is no big update of the front lines. I'll update you, of course, then I see some of the changes. But here is the video for you, or I'll just show you a screenshots just in case. Well, here we have Russians who are using scooters. Yes, electrical scooters. Probably they're running out of motorbikes. A Russian military correspondent, Anna Prokofieva, was cancelled in Ukraine. Her car hit a mine. So not just she was zeroed, but her driver and cameraman. Some say that cameraman never dies, but it's a wrong assumption. Well, you may say how beautiful she was. Well, maybe, but in her head there is nothing but zombie Russian propaganda. By the way, before being a military correspondent, she trained to fly FPV drones. She wanted to join the Russian army. She said it herself that I want to join the Russian military, I want to join the Russian military. Well, she could do it actually because the outcome is the same. Not only she was spreading the Russian propaganda, but she was organizing the fundraisers for the Russian military. So yeah, it's the fat target, but probably it wasn't even the Ukrainian mine. Maybe it was a Russian one. About Pete Hegseth and his strange chat, well, it was confirmed already officially that it was legit. A very sensitive information about exact time and place and what United States used to strike Houthis was leaked to the local unsecured Signal chat. Well, Donald Trump said that there was nothing classified, so nothing to worry about. That's why journalists uploaded new messages today. So you may check out one of the messages right now on the screen from Pete Hegseth, where he shares exactly the time and what United States using to strike Houthis. So just imagine what it could be if this information leaked to the Houthi side. It puts lives of the American soldiers in danger, and this leak, it is just unjustifiable. There should be investigation and responsibility on those who did this chat in unsecured Messenger. But instead, Trump's team blames journalists, which is absolutely crazy, because he himself didn't breach anything. They just added him to the group. That's it. They could have added me, you, and everyone around. They're really in lack of competence. Guys, it is not a Global Hawk drone, even though it looks almost identical. This is the North Korean-made drone, which is called a Morningstar 4. I wonder what happened to the Morningstar 1, 2, and 3. Well, anyways, it is huge, and it looks definitely like Global Hawk. Well, I think somehow they obtained some of the technologies to produce those kind of the drones. Maybe China shared those, or maybe there was the leak from the Signal messenger, because it looks more American than Chinese. Also, Russia helped North Korea to build the air surveillance airplane, the analog of A-50. And this is how it looks from inside, a very sophisticated equipment, and guys operated wearing shapka ushanka, just to keep the brain warm. But in fact, yes, it's the A-50, a modification of the Russian Ilyushin-76 AVAX airplane. Maybe it is a reason for some of the North Koreans fighting for Russia, because instead they obtained technologies. And here, I don't know why they put the censorship like in some of the Japanese movies, but this is the Russian Lancet drone, which also been supplied to North Korea. Well guys, and now please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.